Hey YouTube, Shin Tiger Curl here, that dude in the straw hat, bringing you a small little video for my subscribers. I'm still under the weather. This abscess has been kicking my ass, and I have a little bit of clarity in between times where I'm not in agonizing pain, or in between when I'm high and messed up on Motrin PM. Because that's the only thing that can knock this pain out and keep me asleep. So, yeah. So anyway, I had a whole week of WrestleMania videos to post since this is WrestleMania week. But unfortunately, I'm not able to do as many videos as I want. Today I even had to skip my my usual weekly reading of One Piece because simply I just did not have the energy. The pills take their toll with me, and when I'm not high, as I said, I'm in agonizing pain. So, but I felt you guys deserve a little something. So, how about we go over the card as well as we go over my predictions as well as the card for the biggest event of the weekend, the event that everyone is going to be hyped for. No, I'm not talking about the Hall of Fame, and no, I'm not talking about WrestleMania, although WrestleMania is a distant second for this. No, we're talking about NXT Take-over Dallas. Yep, my boys at Chrono Core Media gave their predictions, and several other of my favorite sites have done so well as well. And I know that the guys at the WrestleCast gave their predictions, so I figured I'd get off my ass and do my predictions. So, the NXT takeovers have always consistently been great. I cannot for the life of me remember a bad one. I've seen them all since the network dropped, and by God, they have all been just solid wrestling programs with some good booking and some awesome matches that routinely shame the main roster. So this is a big deal that this takeover will be the first one to take place not just on WrestleMania weekend, but at the exact same location. Well, not the exact same location, more like the same city of Dallas, Texas, hence Takeover Dallas. So, what kind of action could we be seeing? We got 6 matches to go through and 3 title matches in all of them. So, I'm going to give my predictions, and I'm not sure if they're going to, I'm not sure if they're going to be 100% accurate. My mind is still muddied from the after effects of Motrin PM. So anyway, let's get to the card. I'm reading it, and I'm reading the card as follows on Wikipedia. I don't know if this is the actual match, the official card or the order of the matches, so I'm just going by the order that's on Wikipedia. So anyway, let's get started. First match, Austin Aries, in his debut match in NXT, takes on the resident lone wolf, Baron Corbin. Now, for those of you who don't know who Austin Aries is, you really need to start watching more indie stuff because he is one of the mainstays of indie wrestling. He's wrestled for both TNA and Ring of Honor, famously. He's been a Ring of Honor World Champion as well as a TNA World Champion. One of the pioneers of TNA's X division, and the creator of the now famous Option 3, where for Destination X for TNA's pay-per-view Destination X, where the X Division champion can turn in the X Division title to face off against the world champion. Austin Aries is an amazing performer on nearly every level. His in-ring work is top-notch. His psychology is amazing. His promos are godly. There's a reason why they call this man the greatest man who ever lived. Because you can't really deny it. He is the greatest man who ever lived. But yeah. His opponent is, of course, Baron Corbin. For those of you who don't know, Baron Corbin has been a mainstay of NXT for a long time. He's a relatively young guy, decent, good look. He was kind of shaky in the beginning, but he has since grown into his role as a heel. He has gotten progressively better with his charisma and getting over with the crowd as a heel, as well as his in-ring work. He's done some pretty great matches with both Samoa Joe and with Finn Balor and a few other guys on the roster who really work with this guy. He's shown he really feels like he's ready for the main roster. Time will tell. So, since this is Austin Aries' first match in NXT, I can predict that they will let him go over because, well, with as big a star as Austin Aries, you just can't have him jobbing to someone like Baron Corbin. This is not going to be a squash match. This is going to be a great matchup. Great for both Austin and for Baron to look great in this match, but I can see Austin Aries going over. All right, next match on this card for the NXT Tag Team Championships. The defending champions, the Revival, the team of Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, take on American Alpha, Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. Now, I didn't really get to these teams until the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, which was a tournament held for tag teams in honor of the late great Dusty Rhodes, who had a big hand in NXT, particularly in a lot of the careers of the NXT rookies, who cite Dusty Rhodes' influence as being part of the reason why a lot of them got over as well as they did. But anyway, these two teams, well, first off, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, now known as the Revival, are basically a throwback to the old style of tag team wrestling that was popular in the golden age of professional wrestling, i.e. the 80s to early 90s, back during the days. They very harken back to the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, the old Midnight Express, and the team that I liken them most to, the Brain Busters. They're just no flips or stuff. They're just straight up ground and pound smash mouth wrestling. They're just very sound technical ability. They picked up the titles against the Vaudevillains and have held them consistently for the last couple of months. I was thinking that these guys were just going to be transitional champions, but they have turned into very dominant champions, very much in the vein of the Ascension before they were promoted to the main roster. And I actually love Dawson and Dash. These guys are just phenomenal, just straightforward, in your face, and very much of a throwback for me. Their opponents, American Alpha, Jason Jordan, and Chad Gable, they both started off as independent or singles wrestlers, but the booking decided to put them together as a tag team, and they gelled immediately. Both of these guys are collegiate and Olympic level athletes. They have very diverse backgrounds in Olympic style wrestling. And the comparisons between them and Team Angle, a.k.a. the world's greatest tag team, a.k.a. wrestling's greatest tag team of Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas, are evident. They just have such a unique style of high-flying offense with sound technical wrestling. And they're getting over with the crowd like gangbusters. So, for this one, I expect an amazing, amazing match. This clash of styles, very, very good. So, as for my winner, I want to say American Alpha, because Jordan and Gable have shown that they're ready for some gold. I wouldn't mind it if the Revival kept the belts because they're that over as tag team champions. But if it's their time to drop the belts, I'd rather them drop it to American Alpha. I mean, they kept the belts when they faced off against the team of Kaz and Enzo at Roadblock, but that's because Enzo and Kaz are being called up to the main roster. So we probably might see Enzo and Kaz either somewhere at WrestleMania or debuting the next night on Raw, because that night after WrestleMania, shit goes down. But anyway, my prediction, American Alpha goes over. Third match, Apollo Crews versus Elias Sampson. I don't really know much about Elias Sampson. I've looked at some of his matches. He's pretty good, but I don't. There's nothing really to endear me to him. Now, Apollo Crews, on the other hand, this guy is a phenomenal blue chipper. He is built like Bobby Lashley, but moves like fucking Rey Mysterio. I mean, this guy does a standing backflip splash on the guys, and he moves like a guy much smaller than himself. He has amazing charisma. The crowd loves him, so I suspect that this is a power cruise just going over on Elias Samson, unless they're planning to do something big with Samson to really get him over. Next up, fourth match. This quite possibly this is a dream match for a lot of wrestling fans, such as myself, as well as a lot of fans in general. Because I'm studying my words. I'm sorry, my brain is still a little bit mushy. But yeah, this is my easy candidate for not just match of the night, but potential match of the year. Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, everybody knows Sami Zayn at this point. He is a young up-and-comer, formerly El Generico from Ring of Honor. He is pretty much, people say he's the next John Cena because he is just so likable as a face. He is an underdog who just busts his ass to bring you the best wrestling he can possibly bring. He did win the NXT World Championship by defeating its longest reigning champion, then Adrian Neville, or Neville, the man that gravity forgot. He had an amazing feud. His feud with Kevin Owens is the stuff of legends. Look at this. Look at that year, that 2010 feud he had with Kevin Owens, then Kevin Steen, one of the greatest feuds in recent memory. So yeah, and he's doing double duty this weekend since he'll be wrestling at TakeOver, and then 2 nights later he'll be at WrestleMania for wrestling in the ladder match for ironically Kevin Owens' Intercontinental title. But he can't really look past his opponent because it's Shinsuke Nakamura. If you follow my channel or my Twitter or even hear me on the WrestleCast, you know how much of a mark I am for Shinsuke Nakamura. I fucking love this guy. Shinsuke Nakamura, the king of strong style. And as good old JR said when he was introducing him at Wrestle Kingdom 9, he's the king of strong style, which means he's a badass. And he is a badass at that. He was one of the faces of New Japan Pro Wrestling. The man, there's a reason why they call him the king of strong style, because he embodies the strong style. He is just hard hitting, high in your face, bizarre movements, and that Bumaye knee. You might remember it. You might remember that Daniel Bryan had a move similar to that, the Cena Killer, or that running knee. That's his Bumaye is like that, except it looks fucking brutal to take. And when I heard that Shinsuke was actually signed with the WWE, I was both excited and scared for him. Excited because now the rest of the world can see what I've seen for the past year since Wrestle Kingdom 9, and what New Japan fans have been seeing for years. But I'm also scared because of how WWE treats, the main roster anyway, treats foreign wrestlers. I mean, look at Taka Michinoku, Funaki, your Yoshitatsus. I'm not going to say Hideo Itami, because Hideo Itami is, of course, on the injured list with like dozens of other superstars who've been getting injured like hotcakes for the last couple of months. But I like Adam from WhatCulture.com said, I do not want to see Shinsuke turn into Mitsubishi Nintendo. No. Just no. But as for the match itself, it's going to be glorious. It's going to be hard-hitting, fast-moving, high-flying, technical masterpiece. This is going to be an amazing, amazing match. Shinsuke is probably going to go over because this is, like Austin Aries, this is his debut match. But the real winners are the fans. Fans are going to win from this match. Next match is the second title match. The champion Bayley defends her belt against Asuka. Bayley is the last of NXT's 4 horsewomen, that being herself, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte. The 4 women who revolutionized women's wrestling in NXT. that it could not only be good women's wrestling, but it can be better than the men's wrestling. So last year, Bayley had 2 great matches against Sasha Banks. One at NXT Brooklyn and another at NXT TakeOver Respect. That epic 30-minute Iron Man match between those two is still the stuff of legends. And she's been a dominant and fighting champion. She has fought pretty much everyone under the sun that can be thrown at her. But now she faces her greatest challenge in Asuka. She is another New Japan send-over, but she has gone over like gangbusters. She is an amazing, amazing woman. It's not just the fact that she is hot as hell. The fact that this woman is stiff as hell. She hits hard. So I expect this is going to be yet another phenomenal NXT Women's Championship match. If they decide to, now my winner could be only if Asuka wins, I expect them to immediately move Bayley up into the main roster so she can join her compatriots on the main roster, which would be good because they need more new blood to revitalize the women's division. And I say women's division because recently they say they're going to WWE is going to retire the Divas belt, which is good. That belt is ridiculous. But yeah, if Bayley's being called up, I can see her dropping the belt to Asuka. This is going to be a phenomenal match. And finally, the main event for the NXT Championship. Finn Balor defends against the Samoan submission machine, Samoa Joe. These two were absolutely no strangers to each other, not counting all their battles that they had on the independent circuit. These two were actually tag team partners who actually won the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic last year. And they became fierce rivals when Joe turned on them. They had an epic as hell match at TakeOver London, and that awesome intro by Finn Balor. And so now they're going to do it again. I expect this to be an amazing, amazing bout. And added to the fact that Finn Balor's Bullet Club compatriots, Doc Gallows and Machine Gun Carl Anderson, are now on the roster. You can expect to see them pop up sometime soon. So if they're trying to include the Bullet Club or the Balor Club as they're trying to go, I can see Gallows and Anderson actually screwing Joe over and making Finn more dominant. If they decide to drop the belt to Joe, I would want them to move him up to the main roster because Finn Balor will be over like gangbusters on the main roster. There is no one like Finn Balor. He is amazing. Not just in the ring, but just for his fucking special entrances. If you haven't seen any of his entrances, go look that shit up on YouTube or look it up on the WWE Network. Amazing. Amazing. So yeah, those are my predictions for NXT TakeOver Dallas. Do you agree with them? Do you not agree with them? Leave the comments below. And right now I can feel another headache coming on. And my jaw is so fucking sore right now that it just feels like Shinsuke Nakamura just gave me a Bumaye knee to the left side of my face. I am in a lot of pain right now, so I'm just gonna cut this short and just say in this. If you're interested, if you haven't seen an NXT Takeover event before, this is the one you need to check out to see what all the fuss is talking about. My friend says that being on NXT is a downgrade. Like I told him, no, NXT is great. It is routinely better than the main roster, and this will show it. And this might actually shame the WrestleMania because, well, between the injuries and the shitty booking of the world title match, the TakeOver Dallas might just do the impossible and shame the Big Show. Not the wrestler, the event. It might just shame the spectacle, the showcase of the Immortals WrestleMania. But we'll never know. We'll have to find out tomorrow night. So, if you agree, if you have your own predictions about who's gonna win at NXT TakeOver Dallas, leave it below. Or better yet, which match do you think I'm gonna ask you a very impossible question. Which match do you think is going to be match of the night? Leave it below. I'm interested to hear what you say. So right now I'm going to go render this shit, and then I am going to pass out on my bed and hope that I wake up relatively pain-free. So until next time, it's the Shin Tiger Curl, that dude in the straw hat saying good